I'm really curious because I know being a nurse and especially seeing what you saw and especially working in hospice, you see a lot, right? And to have the motivation and passion to keep moving forward, when things get really hard, is there a story that, kind of encapsulates your passion and why you continued on even though were continually seeing and having to help people deal with trauma over and over again?
Well, I think what happens at the end of life is wisdom
Mm.
starts emerging. And wisdom is different than knowledge. You know, wisdom is different than experience. And you really only gain wisdom from making that internal trek into the soul,
Yeah.
as I always say. And so the patient that comes to my mind is a patient. I still remember his name. It was Mr. Myers. And what we did, we were, by this time my practice had very much matured. And when I would see unsettlement or, I started these veterans, when I really started sleuthing down the veterans who had successfully come to peace with what they had been through, I started being able to see what the problems were. And it was basically three things. They had unmourned loss and hurt, unforgiven guilt and shame, and fear of helplessness and loss of control because of what they had been through.
Yeah.
So from that, once I was able to discern the causes, then how to intervene became more apparent. And so the task at hand was to help people learn how to move from numbing their pain to mourning and releasing their pain, to
Yeah.
learn how to stop hiding their guilt, to using their guilt to learn how to forgive themselves and others, and to move from being ashamed of not being good enough to releasing the fear of who they were and who they were not, and to move from controlling things that they have no control over to letting themselves feel their helplessness over
Mm.
things that, in fact, were uncontrollable.